taken a lot of big initiatives and a lot of big moves in the last couple of years. We have attacked the Orange State. Whatever we think about policing them, we all think different things. The RUC are destroyed. The Orange Order are in their backs. The damn throws that they have are going year by year by year. The civil service is under assault from us. The southern state is collapsing, it's falling apart.
Well, hello and welcome to another Wednesday night here at Restore Live. Restore Live going out to Restore on Facebook, also to the British Unionist People's Voice on Facebook, and to Restore UK on YouTube. And I would just like to ask people if you're with us on Facebook, if you would like also to join us on YouTube, and if you're new to the channel. If you would like to give us a like, if you would like to give us a love, if you would like to give us a share, if you would like to tag your friends into the live chat, in order that what we can do is that we can boost these numbers. Now, we can't rely on the social media platforms to propagate what it is that we are doing. That's because that we believe in our national identity. We believe in our Britishness. We believe in our heritage, our history, and our culture, and all those things that globalists don't want you to believe in. So therefore, if you have those type of thought processes, well, you will be curtailed by way of social media. And we've seen that happening to a greater extent, incrementally, over the time that we have been broadcasting here at Restore. So what we do is that we rely on the people that comes to your channel to push the message out, to push it far and wide, to tag their friends, to share the channel, to give us a love, a like, and a share, which also then would hopefully show others that you're associated with on social media that you like something, and perhaps it will bring those to this channel also. Now, tonight, what we're here to do is that we're here to assess what has happened over the past year here in Northern Ireland, ever since that the constitutional changing protocol was put in place. And what we're here to do is that we're here to look at why it is that our politicians, they haven't made any meaningful proactive protest. They haven't made protest in a way that would defend, protect, and enhance Northern Ireland's place within the United Kingdom. And it seems as if that what they are prepared to do is they're prepared to wait on others striking a deal, some sort of deal, a repackaged deal, a deal that will come down our line. And you believe me, this deal is already being touted as a compromise. Now, you can't compromise when someone has your sovereignty removed. You can't compromise when, as Jim Allister would have said just a few days ago, that 2/3 of our laws is being made in the EU, with only 1/3 of our rules governing our economy being made here in the United Kingdom. And that, my friends, that is absolutely is a barometer. It is a measuring stick as to how that we measure how far out of the United Kingdom that we have actually been edged and pushed. And yet they talk about having a compromise on this deal, which would see British Unionists as second-class citizens and would see British Unionists in their own land being discriminated against, having had their democracy removed and not having the same democracy as people in England, Scotland, and Wales. And that, my friends, is totally unacceptable. And what I would like to do, and this is even to the people that come here regularly, I'm asking you to share this into your own Facebook page, share it into groups, pages, share it with friends, tag people into the live chat, and let's try to do what we did on Monday whenever Jim Allister was here, and we had huge figures whenever that we left the screen on Monday. We had been viewed by just over 1,200 people, and I don't think that's too bad for a small platform. Okay, it's not as good as how things sort of have went or how things should be. Over and even from when we started last year, when we were getting far bigger numbers than that, but yet we look at it and we say that we've it was a good number that came here on Monday evening to hear Jim Allister speak. So let's do that again. Let's ensure that the numbers remain high right across the platforms. As I say, we are broadcasting this evening to the British Unionist People's Voice, to Restore UK on Facebook, also to Restore UK on the YouTube channel. And what actually happens is that from there, you can actually share this stream. You can share it far and wide. And what that'll do is that will also help boost our numbers. Now, tonight, we start our stream with sadness in mind. And let me explain. A good friend of ours here at Restore, George Russell. George today, well, he lost his wife. And you know, the deepest sympathy. What do you say whenever something like this happens? I mean, George and his wife had been together for a very, very long time. And I know that it'll be a huge piece of George that will be missing from here going forward. So we really, we with deepest sympathy, we remember George this evening. And also we would remember his wife. So basically, if you could leave a message in the live chat, I'm just popping this up by Jim Werner. My deepest sympathy to George Russell on the passing of his wife. You know, George, as I say, he's a man that would help us here in the background, and he has done ever since that we started here at Restore. And yeah, I mean, we'll miss George as he deals with what it is that he has to deal with over the coming days and the coming weeks. So please leave your messages in the live chat of sympathy and support for George Russell on this sad time for George. Now, we're going to start. I'm just going to pop this up for George, basically. Total condolence to George, our good friend, and the loss of his good wife, Pearl. God bless. And yeah, thanks very much for that, Chris. And again, this is from Eleanor Little, sending condolences to George on the loss of your wife. You know, George is a man that will work relentlessly. You know, there's no task that's too big. George always goes out of his road in order to help the people here. In Northern Ireland, and also Restore and on other channels on social media. And, you know, again, with deepest sympathy, we remember George and George's circumstances, and also, you know, we pass our sincere sympathies for the loss of his wife. And I'm just going to, before the start, I'm going to pop more of this stuff up here. Lindy Cole Alexander, deepest condolences to George. Carl Porter, thoughts with you, George, and also from Isabel Montgomery. I'm going to pop this up now. So sad to hear about George's wife, thinking of him and his family at this very, very sad time. And Peter Morris, thinking of you at this time, George. Thanks very much for that, Peter. And Ray Burgess, sorry for your loss, safe in the arms of Jesus. Thanks very much for that, Ray. And I have to say that the numbers are high this evening, excuse me, as we commence with what it is that we're here to do. Roberta Bird and Eddie Bird, sorry for your loss from Eddie Bird and Eddie and Roberta. Thanks very much for doing that. And also from Billy Mitchell. Thoughts and prayers with George, our good friend, on the passing of his dear wife. And from Jackie Boyle, sending condolences for George, thinking about you. So again, people, just keep popping those messages of support and condolences for George into the live chat, and no doubt George will read them whenever he's able. And again, from Andrew Larmer, we would say sorry for your loss. Thanks very much for that, for Andrew Larmer. Margaret Mitchell, with the Angels. I just see that there. Gertie Yates Brown. So sad to hear about George's wife. Look, that's what we do here at Restore. Whenever one person has a problem, well, everyone comes and circles around and ensures that the sympathy is there when actually needed. And again, from Eddie Adair, is sorry for your loss, George. And yeah, well, thanks very much for that, people. And as time goes on, and if we see more of that in the live chat, we'll actually pop it up as we go along. So, people, what I want to do before that I move on, and I'm going to actually start with something by telling you something. Again, I touched on it just a few evenings ago, and I'm going to start by wanting to tell you something, and it's about a centenary celebration in December. Now, we did quote a date just a few days ago, but what we're going to do is that this evening we're going to actually alter the date of the centenary celebration, and we're going to do that. We're going to have that centenary celebration before the end of the year, because this is Northern Ireland's centenary this year, 2021, and we are 100 years old. And and whenever you have a birthday like 100 years old, well, what you need to do is you need to actually celebrate it. And that I know that some people had suggested that what we can do is that we can have a centenary celebration next May. Well, look, I'm all for that also, but I also believe in celebrating on the birthday and when the birthday is. And I also believe that we won't let Sinn Féin dictate to us what we can and what we cannot do. We will have our centenary celebration this year, next month, and we'll be announcing exactly when and where, times, everything as this stream actually goes on. So again, I'm just going to pop these couple up before that I move on, and I will do this as I go. But Stephen Anderson, Shalom George, may her memory be your blessing. Sorry, I was just I didn't. There was a little typo there, and sorry for your loss, George. God bless. So right, okay. So Isabel, look, you need to fill us in on that also. So I'm just going to pop that up from Isabel Montgomery. John, remind people the Orange Hall or the Orange Halls are open on Saturday to sign about removing the protocol. Isabel, I didn't even know anything about that. So if anyone can clarify what this means in a wee bit more depth, well, look, we can talk about that also. Now, again, I'm just going to pop this up from Leslie Marshall. Thanks very much, Leslie. Deepest sympathy to George and the family circle. 1 Corinthians 2:9. I have not seen nor heard, nor ear heard, neither have entered into the heart of man the things which God hath prepared for them that love him. Thanks very much for that, Leslie. I'm sure George will be that will be very comforting to him in his hour of need. So anyway, let's move on at this point and keep popping those messages into the live chat as we go. Look, the numbers are high enough, and as I say, please give us a like, a love, and a share, and also continue to tag people into the live chat as we go, because this way what we can do is that we can build the numbers, we can keep the numbers high, and we can talk about the things that we want to do, and we can aim what it is that we're speaking about to more and more and more people with the help of you. Now I'm flipping back on the live chat for a few moments, and I'm actually looking for a man here. So I'm looking for sorry, there's one that I actually missed there. And that there's from Mark Officer, God bless you, mate. And that is to George Russell on the passing. It's with sympathy to the passing of George's wife on this day and in his hour of need. So we had a man on our stream just a few evenings ago from Scotland, a man called Peter Morris. And I know I see Peter Morris, he had just commented, and and he had put in a message there for George with sympathy to George. And I'm going to say something. Peter is an activist in Scotland. Peter is a man that is no stranger to Northern Ireland. Peter used to live in Northern Ireland, and Peter has been involved in politics. So again, this is Peter here, and we will actually pop this up in a second because he's given us a link here. So he has. In fact, let's pop that up right now whilst we're talking about Peter, and we're warming his ears for him, let's just say. So here's the link to the Orange Orty Halls opening at the weekend. So there we go. Yes, that's a very, very good thing. And what we all should do is that we all should go to the Orange Halls and actually sign that we are not happy with the protocol, and the constitutional changing protocol. Well, it has to be removed. It has to go. And, as Jim Allister would have said when I asked him the question just a few evenings ago, I says, can you have a protocol and no constitutional change? And Jim's answer as a barrister was absolutely straightforward when he says, well, you can't have this protocol and not have constitutional change. So I say that with anticipation that our DUP, that our UUP, well, just watch these salesmen, these snake oil salespeople trying to sell some type of compromise within this existing constitutional changing protocol. Now, we know that this is going to happen. We are ready. We are watching and we are waiting for the fine words to be coming from the DUP, the fine words to be coming from the Ulster Unionist Party when they were promoting the constitutional change in protocol, and when they're suggesting that, well, this is the best, this is another repackaged best deal for Northern Ireland. Let's remember, Arlene Foster, well, she wanted to work within this constitutional changing protocol, which will destroy Northern Ireland if it's left in place. Jeffrey Donaldson, well, he said the same. And if you go back just a few evenings ago, you'll hear Jim Allister quoting the time and the place on a Spotlight programme when Jeffrey Donaldson was talking up the benefits of the protocol, the constitutional changing protocol. So what we expect the DUP to be acting as the salespeople for the British government, who will have done a deal which will have resolved a few issues with regards to trade here in Northern Ireland. But people, it isn't the trade that is the main problem. That is the problem. I don't discount the fact that the trade has been reorientated and the UK internal market is being decimated right now as people are buying the goods from Southern Ireland and it's being fed from the EU, which is reorientating the trade to and from our biggest market. That's right around the United Kingdom. Now, it isn't the trade which is the main problem for British Unionists here in Northern Ireland. The protocol is the main problem. It is the very protocol itself, because what the protocol does is it gives the EU courts, it gives them the say over the do's and don'ts here in Northern Ireland. It aligns us with the EU VAT regime. And what it does is it places us, when you just sit and listen to it, as Jim Allister would have said, that 2/3 of the rules are now being made in Brussels. I think that was exactly the quote. I'll have to actually check that. But, 2/3 of our rules is being made in Brussels today. And does that mean that only 1/3 is being made in the Parliament, in Westminster Parliament? That's a very, very serious situation that has developed. And for a British Unionist to be promoting that, to be accepting that, to coming very soon to a place near you, to be trying to actually sell a compromise on that, well, people, it's an act of treason. And I make no apologies for saying that. That would be a direct act of treason to try to ensure that people here in this part of the United Kingdom, well, they would vote for something which will ultimately destroy Northern Ireland's place in the United Kingdom, and by extension, it would destroy the entire United Kingdom in the process. Back to Peter Morris here. Peter, I'm going to say that you spoke in a way that was pretty straightforward just a few evenings ago. It was your words came across as genuine and as I would say, like a breath of fresh air. If you haven't already went back and looked at the stream, Peter, and I'm going to ask other people to do this, go back and listen to yourself, Peter. And I'm going to say that you have a talent for doing this type of thing. And Peter, I would like you to come on here more regular and to talk about the things that is happening in Scotland, and also, Peter, to be telling people about some of the things that you're involved in. And I know that you're involved in a lot of activism, which is designed and aimed specifically at keeping Scotland as part of the United Kingdom, and to stop, Nicola Sturgeon and her merry band of socialists, to stop them from really trying to separate Scotland away from England, Scotland, Wales, England, Wales, and Northern Ireland. I know that everything that you do is geared towards keeping Scotland's place within the United Kingdom. So I would also like you to maybe, when you do these things, make sure that there's pictures taken, there's video footage taken, and come and talk to people here on Restore and talk about the things that you've done, the things that you're doing. Because you know something, people like you, Peter, could give others confidence to do similar things. And that's me just straight to you. That was my observations of the other evening. And as I spoke to David after the feed the other evening, and I have to say, as I says to David, look, Peter came across as very, very well. He came across really good the other evening, and I would like to hear more of you, Peter. Peter, you're very, very welcome, and I think that other people would like to hear more of you. And I hope that you're willing to do that in the very near future. And I'm just popping that up from Peter. Thank you so much. Don't thank me, Peter. You have a talent for doing what you were doing the other evening, and you're the type of person that I think that could win hearts and minds because that you're just straightforward. There's no airs or graces, and you say things as you see them. And I have to say, you come across in a way that ordinary people like to listen to. So thanks very much for that, Peter. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. So what we're going to do, people, whilst I prepare, is that I'm going to find something that I'm going to play. As you'll have heard at the very, very start, I played that clip from Bobby's story. Bobby's story, I mean, he became, according to Mary Lou MacDonald, he became the leader of republicanism. And whenever you think what the leader of republicanism is, well, you could only imagine that means that incorporates the IRA Army Council also. And that's whenever Mary Lou MacDonald would have says that we're here to bury our leader. That's exactly what she said. And whenever she said that, well, I thought, was Mary Lou MacDonald not the leader of Sinn Féin? Haven't the IRA left the stage? Haven't they gone away? Well, I think that Mary Lou MacDonald let the cat out of the bag. And if you had listened to Bobby's story there at the start, what did he say? He says that, let's play it again whilst I prepare. Listen very careful to this. We'll come back and we'll say a few words about what Bobby had to say. And then what we'll do is we'll go on then. And what we want to do this evening is that we want to talk about the DUP, because we give the UUP, I guess, a run for their money and just last Wednesday evening. And we need really to talk about the DUP, because the DUP are not spotless. They're not without blame as to why that it is we in Northern Ireland have a constitutional changing protocol in place on the year of our centenary. So listen to Bobby's story, and we'll come back in a few moments and we'll talk about what it is that Bobby said. And then what we'll do is that we'll go on and we'll commence with playing a few clips of the run-up to when Arlene Foster left the DUP, then Edwin Poots became the leader, then Jeffrey Donaldson became the leader. And I want to play a couple of clips because we want to listen very carefully to their words. We want to pick those words apart, and we want to lay out bare why that it is that we won't be accepting any spin, swindle, or fudge in the future whenever they do the wrong thing with reference to this newly packaged same deal. The protocol will still be here, and we'll still have a constitutional changing protocol in place. And I believe that the DUP will be trying to sell this to the people of Northern Ireland. But anyway, let's listen to Bobby, and then we'll commence with what we're here to do.
We have taken a lot of big initiatives and a lot of big moves in the last couple of years. We have attacked the Orange State. Whatever we think about policing them, we all think different things. The RUC are destroyed. The Orange Order are in their backs. The damn throws that they have are going year by year by year. The civil service is under assault from us. The southern state is collapsing, it's falling apart.
Now, you would have heard, Bobby's story making a lot of claims there. And, I mean, they're not new claims because we knew that they were attacking the civil service. We knew that they had a gripe against the RUC because the RUC, you see, they would have stood up against the IRA. We also know that they had stood against orange parades. That is nothing new to a British unionist. But you see, there it is being confirmed. And, whenever they were doing these things, well, they were saying, oh, no, we are a party of respect and integrity and togetherness and, equality for everyone and everything and everybody. And then when you look at Sinn Féin and you actually understand that, well, when they're voting for no COVID regulations in the south, and then what they're doing is they're voting to take away people's human rights here in Northern Ireland. And you wonder how that a party can have two diametrically opposed positions. And then when you examine why that it is they do what they do, well, that's because you see, if they oppose the current establishment in the south, they win people's votes. So what they will say is they don't want any citizens to be have their bodily autonomy taken away, or their human rights taken away, or their right to free speech or free will, and all of those things. They don't want that in the south. But here in Northern Ireland, they are champions of it. They are absolute champions of removing people's rights. Now, we did have a vote in the Northern Ireland Assembly just yesterday, but people, you see, the time is not right for your politicians to stick the boot clean into you. And I make no apologies for saying that, to stick the boot clean into you by removing your human rights, your civil and religious liberties, and by literally by removing your free will, your bodily autonomy, your right to free speech, your right to freedom of expression, your right to criticize them. And you see, they're in the position right now, and again, I make no apologies for saying this, but your politicians, those in leadership, they are in the position right now whereby that they will be incrementally moving to protect themselves. And the reason why that they'll be doing that is that they know that they are being forced by the globalist masters to do the wrong thing, to remove your human rights, to remove your free speech, to remove your free will, to stop you from criticizing corruption where that you see that exists. Your politicians they have their fingerprints all over the incremental removing of your human rights. And that's why that they will ultimately move to protect themselves by having you curtailed in whatever way that they can. So watch them politicians very, very carefully, because whilst that they didn't vote for restrictions yesterday, whilst they didn't vote to have a two-tier system in where that a huge part of the population is being discriminated against, in terms of some people are allowed to go to shops, some people are not allowed to go to shops, some people are allowed to go to bars, some people are allowed to go to nightclubs. I mean, what type of discrimination is this? Now, they didn't vote for it yesterday, but you see, what they will rely on is for this COVID to take hold, and for more and more cases, and for people to get sick, and for hospitals to be burdened and overburdened. But let's remember, the hospitals were already burdened and overburdened. And that's before that they let huge amounts of immigrants into your country. That's before that they overburden the system even more than it has been overburdened. So, these things were happening anyway. But what they'll do is they'll wait to the time whenever the chief medical officer, the chief scientific officer, whenever they say, well, this has to be done, and they'll maybe move to do it. But then again, there is a saving grace for those that cherish their freedoms, that cherish their free will, their right to speak out about corruption, their freedom of speech, their freedom of expression, and your absolute right to criticize your politicians. For those people, there is a saving grace. And you know what that saving grace is here in Northern Ireland? There's an election coming up next May. And there's not one of them that really want to rock the or upset the apple cart for fear of being decimated at the next election. So I think that we're in a good position here in Northern Ireland, and we might see the politicians doing the right thing, but not because that they have people at their heart, they have people in mind, they want to serve and protect the people, not because of that, because they want to serve and protect themselves. Now we need a new form of politics here in Northern Ireland. And do we need that's exactly the same right around the United Kingdom? We know that Scotland is they're further down a rabbit hole than we are. I mean, their politics is much more worse, much more harsh than ours is. If you go to Southern Ireland, they're exactly the same. And in England, well, it's not much better, nor is it in Wales. So, we look across the broad spectrum of these British Isles, and what we see is that we see socialists, the minority of socialists actually teaming together. And what they're doing is that they're forcing into place socialism. And socialism doesn't work because, it's all sounds good that people get a universal basic income and everyone's the same, as in the words of the John Lennon song, Imagine. And here, Imagine is the proper title for that song, because imagine this, imagine no country, imagine no religion too, imagine nothing to kill or die for, you know, all of those things. I mean, we must go through the words of that song. And some would say that that is the socialist manifesto. But you see, when everyone is the same, when no one has any more than anyone else, when people are getting a universal basic income, when the state owns everything, and nobody has any more than anyone else, well, except for the champagne socialists at the top of the tree who actually run this thing. They're laden with pleasantries whilst everyone else is exactly the same. Look across the world, look across the broad spectrum of the world, look across the world and its history. And anywhere where this type of system has been put in place, well, what it has resulted in is deprivation, is people homeless on the streets, people not being able to feed themselves, to heat themselves, and everything that comes with such a system. That's just the way that it is. And imagine a system in where that every single person had exactly the same amount of money. What is there then to incentivize a doctor to work hard? What is there then to incentivize a businessman to create jobs and to work hard, to work all the hours that God would send, in order that he can be innovative and he can actually make jobs for other people? What is there to incentivize people to do anything whenever everyone would be on the same universal basic income? You see, there is no incentive for people to do things. And this is where socialism gets it wrong. And let me explain. Because what happens is that in order then to get those people to do the things that they want them to do, then it's not carrot anymore, people. It becomes stick. And what they have to do is they have to beat people into place to do the things that they say, well, why should I work harder than this one? Why should my job be harder than this one? You can imagine a doctor that has to work, all of these hours and do all this training to become exactly what he becomes. You can imagine a doctor actually receiving the same amount as someone who's sweeping the streets. Why would the doctor even bother? Why would he not just say that, well, okay, well, why shouldn't I become, a street sweeper, and I don't have to go through all that hassle to become what it is that I have to become? And you see, that's where socialism becomes communism, because what they then have to do is they have to force the population to do these jobs. And what a bonkers system that is coming down our line. And people, look, I'm speaking openly about this right now, and I've refrained from doing it up to date. But look across the world today. Look into Australia right now and see what they're doing in Australia. Well, what they've done is they've opened up the camps. The camps has been opened up this week, and they're taking people in military trucks who has tested positive for having a cold or a flu, or maybe a worse form of cold or flu, and I have to choose my words. And what they're doing is they're taking them in army trucks for testing positive, and they're putting them in quarantine centres. Does anyone remember a time in our world when that happened before? You know, this is crazy. This is absolutely ridiculous. Is this what your politicians are going to be voting into place? Is this what your politicians are prepared to let happen? What will we have to do if they move towards creating such a system here in Northern Ireland or right around the United Kingdom? Now, we've seen a newspaper clipping just a few days ago from the journal.ie, and now they're talking about that Ireland wants these quarantine centres, that if people are testing positive, well, then they would have the power to send the army and to take these people away and to place them in quarantine centres. This is absolute craziness, absolute craziness. And no right-minded, peace-loving, freedom-loving individual should ever, ever permit the circumstances where their politicians would permit this to happen. Do these politicians have any choice anymore? Well, that remains to be seen. Excuse me so that I can take a little drink. You got to excuse me. I'm a wee bit croaky this evening. So, anyway, what we want to do is that we want now to play a couple of video clips. We want to look at some things that Jeffrey Donaldson and the DUP from the transition from Arlene Foster to Edwin Poots to Jeffrey Donaldson. We want to listen to a couple of short video clips, and we want to literally pick through these words so that what we can actually understand who Jeffrey Donaldson is. What's the measure of this man? Is this man a leader? Is this man or a mouse? Is this man the type of person that would stand up relentlessly, defending and protecting people here in Northern Ireland? Is he what a leader of unionism should be? There's a few questions. Who is Jeffrey Donaldson? Well, let's try to understand.
But the Democratic Unionists have managed to choose a new leader. Sir Jeffrey Donaldson is their third in 2 chaotic months. And his predecessor, who only lasted 21 days in the job, did have news that could cheer his successor. The DUP say cabinet ministers have assured them there will be a significant government move on the Northern Ireland Protocol very soon.
Sounds like you've had an assurance from the UK government that they will act unilaterally. As the EU would see it, they're going to pull the cord on this.
If that's what happens, that's what happens.
But that's what you think. They've indicated you'll have something to, as it were, wave to your supporters at the end of the day.
I believe that the protocol as it exists is unimplementable. I believe that right up to the level of Prime Minister, that the British government are pretty appalled with how the outworkings of the protocol
and they could act
has
soon.
appeared. I believe that they will act in the near future, yes. I don't believe that it's going to be a long period of time.
Unites many unionist forces, but the Democratic Unionist Party still managed to rupture itself mid-campaign.
The DUP looks as though it's in civil war right now, doesn't it?
Well, it'll just have to come out of civil war if that's the case.
What's the civil war about?
I'm not sure. Very often when there's a wee bit of a row within a family, and people never really remember how it started.
The party in Northern Ireland, the DUP, appears to eat itself alive. Gary Gibbon, Channel 4 News, Belfast.
So, people, okay, what we've seen there is that we've seen Edwin Poots, and we just bear with me.
For the Democratic,
I remove this. My fault for hitting the wrong button there. So we've seen Edwin Poots talking about, you know, a civil war within the DUP, and they were jostling for position, and you know, the Arlene Foster had been sort of moved out of place, and the reason why that Arlene Foster was moved out of place is that I believe totally that Arlene Foster was doing the wrong thing. I don't believe that Arlene Foster was up to the job. I believe that she was too weak. I believe that she was a typical, I don't know, well, I'll refrain from using these words, but she was the type of lady, let's just say, that would absolutely move towards anything and think anything that's a good idea, even if it meant some type of compromise, which ended up resulting in British Unionists here in Northern Ireland becoming half in and half out of the United Kingdom. Arlene Foster and Nigel Dodds, let's remember, they were the people that started this ball rolling whenever they agreed to Theresa May's backstop. I can remember on a Tuesday they weren't agreeing, and I can remember by Thursday they had incrementally moved to give it a wink and a nudge. And I can remember in and around that time, well, Nigel Dodds, didn't he get Negotiator of the Year? And let's remember who that it was that actually signed the New Decade, New Deal approach. That was Jeffrey Donaldson. Jeffrey Donaldson was the signatory to the new, or not the New Decade, New Deal. That was the confidence and supply arrangement. Please accept my apologies for getting the wrong deal there. There's been not many of them. There's been this deal, that deal, this repackaged deal, this here. And every single deal has ended up where it hasn't been good for British unionism right across the United Kingdom, or not good for British unionism in Northern Ireland. What did the DUP do whenever they signed up to this confidence and supply arrangement along with Theresa May? Well, what they done was that they blackmailed the British government for a huge amount of money to bring back here, to share around Northern Ireland, to share with Sinn Féin, to share with the SDLP, to share with everyone. And they done that so that they could claim that, well, that was a DUP delivery. Who remembers the DUP deliveries? Because I can remember their lackeys coming on to the social media platforms saying DUP delivery, DUP delivery, DUP delivery, we done this, we done that, we brought £1 billion, we extracted £1 billion in a negotiation from Theresa May in her hour of need. Whenever they really should have been negotiating for Northern Ireland's place in the United Kingdom to be secured forever and a day, and to have that in writing. These people, what they did was they put their party and they put themselves before the people of Northern Ireland. And they wanted to come back here and claim that they delivered for everyone. Well, they delivered for everyone else except for British unionism here in Northern Ireland, because as a result, there was two parts of that confidence and supply arrangement. And Ruth Davidson in Scotland, well, she got a part of a confidence and supply arrangement also. And what was it that Ruth Davidson said whenever she got her confidence and supply arrangement? Well, or whenever she was asking for it to Theresa May. And this is a fact. Ruth Davidson says, well, if the DUP are getting one, I want one too. And what she wanted was no rollback on LGBT rights right around the United Kingdom. Well, that was okay. That should have been asked for, and no one has any problem with that. And also that she asked that they would use then, the Conservatives would use their influence to enhance LGBT rights in Northern Ireland. Now, within a few weeks, there was a rainbow flag flying on over Stormont House. Now, this is the significant part. And if you're a gay person, I have absolutely nothing against you. But you see, I don't believe in this type of thing having an effect on everyone that lives in Northern Ireland. And let me explain the effect that Ruth Davidson's confidence and supply arrangement had on everyone that lived in Northern Ireland. Well, people, that was the beginning of the PSNI being so blatantly open about doing away with their founding principles. What was the PSNI's founding principles, you may ask? Well, in the patent recommendations, which was in the Belfast Agreement, these words, and which translated into the formation of the PSNI, was the patent recommendation that he said that the RUC, well, they were a political police force. He said that because Sinn Féin, remember the banners and the posters, the propaganda, where they were saying that it was a political policing force. And that was because they were standing against their terrorism. Now, what did Patton say? Patton says that the RUC, well, well, I don't think he actually aimed at the RUC, but what he did say is that we wanted to have a new policing service, which was non-political. So we wanted a policing service, and these are the exact words, that would be fair, that would be impartial, that would be free from partisan political control, that would be capable of gaining and maintaining the respect of the entire community. Now, why do I talk about Ruth Davidson's confidence and supply arrangement, which was an offshoot of what it was that the DUP had just extracted from the British government in their hour of need? Effectively, people blackmailing the British government for a huge amount of money. The offshoot was this, that the PSNI, they were forced into walking in gay pride within a few weeks of that confidence and supply arrangement that Ruth Davison got. James Brokenshire, he flew a rainbow flag over a public building. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but what are we doing playing identity politics in a public building, in a public body, in the seat of our government, having our government dictating and ramming things into place? What are we doing playing this identity politics when it shouldn't be played? You know, your government also should be fair, impartial, free from partisan political control. In other words, they should be serving and protecting the entire community. Northern Ireland Secretary of State, what he actually did and what the PSNI did at that time was they took part in a political argument. And what was the political argument? Well, let me explain. You see, Christians in Northern Ireland were saying that marriage is between a man and a woman. And people that were gay and wanted to get married, and that's their right to do so. Well, they wanted the same marriage as a Christian. But the Christians were saying, but look, in the Bible it says that marriage is between a man and a woman. So go have your marriage, go have whatever marriage that you want. Just don't be, interfering in the type of marriage that it states in the Bible and the way that it states in the Bible. But to cut a long story short, the PSNI, well, what did they do? Well, they donned their rainbow colours and they walked in gay pride. And they walked in gay pride in support of gay marriage. Now, that was the PSNI dispensing with, and this is very, very important, that was them dispensing with their founding principles: to be fair, to be impartial, to be free from partisan political control, to be capable of gaining and maintaining the respect of the entire community. And, you know, I can remember looking at that time, and we did see the Northern Ireland Civil Service doing exactly the same thing, where the head of the Northern Ireland Civil Service around that time, where he said that he was a gay icon. And if you look at the Nolan podcast today with reference to this group called Stonewall, you see what they were doing is that they were influencing people in places to promote their agenda. And you know something, when you look at their agenda, I'm going to say something, people, and you know, I'm not here to offend gay people or anything else, but if that these people are permitted to put into place agendas which is detrimental to the entire society, well, what hope have we got? And you know, that's what happened as a result of the confidence and supply arrangement. And we did have our policing force dispensing with their founding principles to be fair, impartial, and free from partisan political control. And clearly, we had partisan political control of a police force whenever Ruth Davison had asked Theresa May that she wanted to use their influence to advance LGBT rights in Northern Ireland, hence what happened at that time. And you know, I'm not specifically aiming at that area. I could take you right across all public services, all public bodies, and anywhere, like whether it be the fire brigade, the TransLink here in Northern Ireland, whether it be, you know, anywhere, a bank, anywhere which openly embraces the public to and expect them to come and do business, they shouldn't be taking part in any political arguments, because what it does is that it often offends others when one side is being enhanced at the expense of another. So that was really to do with the confidence and supply arrangement that the DUP done, which set in place Ruth Davison asking for the same, which caused the PSNI to dispense with their founding principles. and which caused James Brokenshire to not fly a Union flag over Stormont House, but to fly a rainbow flag. How bizarre is that? How bizarre is that? Anyway, let's move on with the next little clip. So there's the first thing that the DUP done. The DUP delivery was to cause the PSNI to dispense with their founding principles. And there was a man called Drew Harris that actually was the Assistant Chief Constable at the time. And I can remember listening to him in an interview with reference to this exact subject. And I can remember Drew Harris actually stating quite openly, well, if there was a Christian parade, would you walk in a Christian parade? And he says, well, it was highly unlikely. And the interviewer asked him and says, well, why are you walking in this parade? Well, he says, well, police forces all around the world are doing it. Now, remember those words, people, because if police forces all around the world are doing these things, does that mean in Australia, if police forces and if military people are taking people away to quarantine centres, is that something in Northern Ireland with the blessing of your politicians? I don't think the TUV in Northern Ireland would ever countenance such a thing. I don't think that they would permit such a thing. I think that they would fight tooth and nail to ensure that such a thing wouldn't happen. Let's see what the DUP do. Well, we know that the UUP, they would agree to anything if it gained them some popularity, if it made them look as if they were important, when in fact, people, they get 3 likes and 2 shares on their social media posts, and that's probably their friends and maybe their family. They're not popular, but yet they're sitting at the top of decision-making processes as if that they're hugely popular and the media are promoting them up. Wasn't there a poll in Northern Ireland carried out by the Belfast Telegraph just a few days ago? A poll which said that the popularity contest is being won by the Alliance Party, the Ulster Unionist Party, and the SDLP. People, don't you believe that for 1 minute? Do not believe that for 1 minute. That is pure propaganda being spewed out by these, let me say it this way. These people, these productions, these papers, these news outlets, they're bought and paid for, and their money in terms of advertising is coming from the government, and it's coming from people with globalization in mind. We don't have journalism anymore. We don't have investigative journalism. What we have is that we have people, ordinary folks, acting as citizens journalists, having to do the mainstream's job for them. And why? Because these people are bought and paid for. Comprador class. Remember those words. There's a quote. Comprador class. They're paid by the comprador to spew out the propaganda and to create an agenda and to push it into place. We'll talk about that in the very near future. So what we're going to do now is that, and I have to say, the numbers are staying very, very high. We're coming to the top of the hour. We're going to go to the live chat, people, after the hour. And what I'm going to do is that I'm actually going to go through. I just noticed a lot of these comments here, and and fair play. I'm glad that people understand what I'm saying. Because people aren't stupid. People see things the way that I actually see things myself. Like, they can say what they want. They can do what they want. You are being swindled. You are being curtailed. Your rights are being removed, and your politicians are actually rolling with it. And in fact, your politicians will roll with it. Why? Because they fear that they know that they are doing the wrong thing, and they fear a backlash from the community. And that's why that they're happy to see you restricted so that they are protected. Remember that, because that's a fact. Let's play some more from the DUP. And look, I have to say, the numbers are great this evening.
The task ahead is great. I do not underestimate the challenge. But I know that the overwhelming majority of people who live here want Northern Ireland to keep moving forward. I have the vision to lead unionism into its second century by embracing those who believe in Northern Ireland a place where people of all identities and none can live, work and raise their family. I have the vision to unite Northern Ireland and to heal the divisions of the past. We don't move forward by ignoring the past, but by remembering and learning from it. I have the vision to lead a strong democratic unionist team who will inspire and command the confidence of those we are privileged to represent. The Northern Ireland Assembly is the place where every element of our society is represented. The coalition government is often unwieldy, but it ensures that every voice is heard. Such partnership is how we must move forward. It must be based on respect for each other's mandate. To that end, I will be speaking with the Prime Minister at the earliest opportunity to emphasise that it is not realistic to expect stability in Northern Ireland when every unionist representative in the devolved institutions is strongly opposed to the Northern Ireland Protocol. The government and those who claim to be the protectors of peace and stability here must step up and deal with the protocol in a manner which respects the constitutional and economic integrity of the United Kingdom. I want to bring stability to Northern Ireland and to encourage everyone to focus on what unites us as a people, rather than that which divides us. There has been too much focus on division and recrimination, both within unionism and within Northern Ireland. I will play my part, but the government and Brussels must step up and recognise the flaws of the protocol and how it was foisted upon the people of Northern Ireland.
Okay, so people, you'll have heard Jeffrey there. You'll have seen Jeffrey delivering some fine words, and that basically was the speech that he gave whenever that he became leader of the DUP. So what we're going to do this time is we're going to do this slightly different, and we're going to do this in a way that what we want to do is that we want to pick apart some of the words. Now, we'll not go too long at it because we don't want to hear these type of words. I mean, listen, let's just pop this up. The man is a joke, constant lies. Every time his mouth opens, all I hear is diatribe. Maybe just see. Just have to do this here. He doesn't know what the Constitution is, and as a man of God, in my honest opinion, he served the wrong God. So we say need to collapse the big house. So all of that said, they're the quotes, they're the things that I can actually pop up. So what we're going to do here is that we're going to actually drill into a few of his words here. And we're going to understand that is Jeffrey a man of his word? I mean, I seen a little meme just a few days ago, and I had to say, I had to laugh. And this is serious, but I still had to laugh. And you know what it was? It was the boy who cried wolf. Who's seen that? Leave a message in the live chat if you've seen that. The boy who cried wolf. What did he say? He said that, I can tell you this very, very clearly, that what he did was that he promised a gathering of British Unionists of good enough standing. He promised a gathering of British Unionists in August, late August, that if there was no meaningful change or no meaningful movement on the protocol by the start of October, that what he would do is he would collapse Stormont. There you go. That's what he promised. And then October came. And then what did he do? He kicked the can down the road to the end of October. So then there was a countdown, and it was being led by the TUV, and the countdown was going down day by day by day, where it was 4 days left, 3 days left, 2 days left, 1 day left. And of course, we all knew that we wouldn't have any meaningful proactive protest against the protocol from wee Jeffrey, right? We all knew that. And then what happened? So now that October, November, we're nearly the end of November. We're getting into December. We're getting into month 12 of the constitutional changing protocol being in place. And Jeffrey hasn't done anything. Nothing ever happens. Nothing happens at all. The needle returns to the start of the song, and he thinks that we're all going to sing along like before. This time, people, that's not going to happen. This time, the DUP are misjudging the concerns of the British Unionist electorate here in Northern Ireland. So this is what Jeffrey actually expects. This is what Timmy Johnston in the DUP headquarters, this is what they expect. But you see, that's definitely not going to happen this year. So there was Jeffrey. See, Jeffrey is like the boy who cried wolf. Wolf, wolf. Nobody believes him anymore. And even if he moves to collapse Stormont, even next month, I still wouldn't be happy with reference to that. And let me explain why. Well, I wouldn't be happy because there's an election in May, and wasn't there already a move to create the circumstances within Westminster whereby that when the Assembly perhaps gets collapsed, to maybe save Jeffrey a bit of face and to make it look as if the DUP are doing something. But you see, when that happens, they're in election mode anyway, and Stormont wouldn't really be functioning between January and May. You're not getting much done or much movement in Stormont because that they're all cozying up to the electorate. You'll not, the DUP all of a sudden, as if by magic, as a friend said to me before, who remembers Mr. Ben? Those who are old enough to remember Mr. Ben, if you remember Mr. Ben, actually put a message in the live chat. That's Jeffrey, isn't it? He goes into the little cloakroom and then he comes out, and as if by magic, he's going to stand up for unionism. And then when he comes back out of the cloakroom again, well, he's back to Jeffrey again, and he's not going to stand up for unionism. Maybe we'll have to do a few memes with Jeffrey as Mr. Ben. And Jeffrey, or the DUP, or Timmy Johnston, or whoever's watching this, we don't care about you. We want you to do the right thing for and on behalf of British unionism, and we realise that you don't care about us either. You care about yourself. Double jobbing, triple jobbing, quadruple jobbing. That may explain, people. That may explain about Jeffrey. Jeffrey is in and I'm going to say a chairmanship or a leading role in a peace and reconciliation group in North Belfast, along with Deirdre Heenan now. It used to be a guy called Liam Maskey. And listen, are you ready for it? Now, here's a claim for you. It is widely believed that the CIA had an inclusion in these type of community groupings in order to try to manipulate society in a way that Irish America actually wanted it to happen. There's a claim for you. Now, Jeffrey Donaldson, he's taken over the running of such community grouping. So Jeffrey Donaldson, he's in the hierarchy of a community group, a peace and reconciliation group, which used to be run by a man who used to bring people together cross community, who used to pay the wages, who won the President's Prize for Peace Building. Which president do you ask? That was the American President's Prize for Peace Building, who is well known as an NGO, as being involved in non-governmental organizations. And if you don't know what a non-governmental organization is, well, they are the chosen weapon of globalists in order to try to manipulate society. So here we have Jeffrey at the head of one of these organizations. Deirdre Heenan is in a leading role along with Jeffrey. Deirdre Heenan is not a unionist, should never be anywhere near anything to do with reconciliation or unionism. Deirdre Heenan is, well, I have to be very, very careful of my words because of the new era of lawfare. But let's just say that Deirdre Heenan is no friend of British unionism. Deirdre Heenan is a bit like, say, Naomi Long. Deirdre Heenan is a bit like Connor, whatever they call him, from the SDLP. Deirdre Heenan is like Mug Beatty. Deirdre Heenan is like Mike Nesbitt. Deirdre Heenan is like Robin Swan. All of these people who would do anything in order to ensure that they look special, they look important, they look as if, well, they're being promoted into positions which looks important to the ordinary Joe public, when in actual fact they have absolutely no support or very little support from within society. So Jeffrey Donaldson, that's job number one. He is at the head of one of these groups. And we'll go into we will do a stream on this. We'll do a stream. We already have all the information on it. And we know about, consistently they've been taking people away into universities in England, I would say, to be indoctrinated by left-wing Marxist academics. But we'll not get into that right now. What else is he involved in? You might have heard this before, but he is involved in being a peace envoy to a place called Cameroon, to the Anglophone side of Cameroon, or is it to Cameroon per se? That's something I have to clarify. Now, what does he do out there? Well, he was out giving his experiences in the Northern Ireland peace process, trying to solve a conflict which was caused by the unwillingness of the French to stop the Francophones in Cameroon forcing language into English-speaking schools. The unwillingness of the French to stop the people in the Francophone side of Cameroon forcing what was civil law onto a common law system in the Anglophone side of Cameroon. Now, Jeffrey was out giving his experience as to how to solve that conflict. And I'm going to make another claim here. There's a thing called the George Mitchell Institute for Global Peace, based at Queen's University in Belfast. Bill Clinton's involved in it. Hillary Clinton's involved in it. Tony Blair's involved in it. John Major's involved in it. Jonathan Powell's involved in it. Alistair Campbell's involved in it. I believe Peter Robinson to be involved in it. Is Jeffrey Donaldson involved in it? Well, it certainly looks as if that he's using their template in Cameroon. So there's a question for Jeffrey. How many jobs has Jeffrey got? He's at the head of a community group in North Belfast. He's a peace envoy to Cameroon, telling them how to solve their conflict. A conflict, I would say, that was created, people, in order to destabilize a community that loved the roots that they had. They were happy to be Anglophone. They were happy to be English speaking. They were happy to have Judeo-Christian values, and they didn't want anyone to take that away from them. So there's another thing that Jeffrey does. Now, what else does he do? Well, he's on the Queen's Privy Council. Sir Jeffrey Donaldson. He's the leader of the DUP. And in fact, when Edmund Pooch took over the DUP, wasn't he the media's choice for DUP leadership? Now, Jeffrey is a man of fine words. I have interacted with Jeffrey. I've spoken to Jeffrey directly. I've done Zoom meetings with Jeffrey. And Jeffrey listens. And Jeffrey agrees. And Jeffrey indicates that what it is that you're speaking about are problems, and there are things needing to be done about these certain issues. But then nothing ever happens. Nothing happens at all. Nothing that I've ever asked Jeffrey Donaldson has ever been dealt with. That is the measure of the man. And that's me actually telling you of my experience of the DUP leader, of the leader of British Unionism here in Northern Ireland. My experience of this man is that nothing will ever happen. And in fact, Jeffrey will be cozying himself up to anything which is coming down our road. This is my understanding of Jeffrey Donaldson. And he will be cozying himself up to anything in order that he gets pleasantries And as long as he's okay, well, it won't matter about you or I or anyone else. There's a few claims for you, people. Talk about double jobbing. Well, we now understand who Jeffrey Donaldson is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a quick wee snap of just trying to look at some of these words, and we'll try to pick them apart. We won't stay at it long because we do want to go through the live chat.
The task ahead is great. I do not underestimate the challenge, but I know that the overwhelming majority of people who live here want Northern Ireland to keep moving forward. I have the vision to lead unionism into its second century.
So he has the vision of leading unionism into its second century by dealing with people like Deirdre Heenan, peace groups. Well, maybe that's the way to do it, is it, Jeffrey? I don't know. But I believe that you can't work with people that seeks your destruction, that seeks your ultimate destruction. I believe that these people are not worth working with. And isn't it interesting, people? Isn't it very interesting that sorry, I'm just trying to hit the right thing here. Isn't it very interesting that, like, say, Jeffrey, he'd be happy to work with the extremes, the extremists, the people that mean you most harm. And when it comes to his own people, well, he hasn't even the decency to come on here to Restore to talk to the people on the live chat. Maybe he won't like, maybe he thinks that he won't like the questions that would be asked towards him. I've actually stopped asking Jeffrey Donaldson to come on here because, do you know why? Because I'm going to say tactically what he did with me was that he said to me that I was hounding him, words to that effect. I could go and get them and I could show you, I could publish them for you. I was hounding him. And is this the treatment he's going to get on Restore if he comes on there? And I basically, I laughed at it. I really laughed at it because if hounding is me continuing to press, continuing to ask the questions, continuing to insist that the likes of this man would come on and explain what it is that he's doing and to listen to people for what they don't give their authority for him to do, if that's hounding people, I will continue to hound. Let's listen to some more of wee Jeffrey.
By embracing those who believe in Northern Ireland, a place where people of all identities and none can live, work and raise their family. I have the vision to unite Northern Ireland and to heal the divisions of the past. We don't move forward by ignoring the past, but by remembering and learning from it. I have the vision to lead a strong democratic unionist team who will inspire and command the confidence of those we are privileged to represent.
He wants to lead a strong democratic unionist party, a strong democratic unionist team. That's what he wants to do. But yet what they are doing is they're causing the biggest disconnect in British unionism, in the history of British unionism, in the history of Northern Ireland. This man and his party, because of their unwillingness, their inabilities, their inactions against those that mean us most harm, this very man on your screen, this man who promised the people in Northern Ireland that what he would do is that he would make meaningful, proactive protest against the constitutional changing protocol. Well, this man has been found to be a liar. This man, when the push came to the shove, he didn't do what he said that he was going to do. And I would say this very, very clearly, that the only way to get the minds in Europe focused, the only way to get the minds in Westminster focused, the only way to focus minds was to threaten this precious Belfast appeasement process by walking away and by saying that we won't be back until British unionists are being treated as first-class citizens, until the Brexit referendum is respected and Northern Ireland is treated in the same way as people in England, Scotland and Wales, having the same vote, having their vote honoured in exactly the same way, the DUP should have said that we won't be back. We can't be part of a process which seeks to discriminate against our people. And yet this man, this so-called leader, this disgrace, this absolute sham of a leader, well, he is causing the circumstances whereby that a constitutional changing protocol remains in place, and yet he has done absolutely nothing to avert it, to stop it, to ensure that it would be taken out of the equation right away. Let's listen some more, because I wasn't going to go too far here, but we're on a roll. We might as well continue.
The Northern Ireland Assembly is the place where every element of our society is represented. The coalition government is often unwieldy, but it ensures that every voice is heard.
The coalition government is often unwieldy, but it ensures that every voice is heard. Did I hear that right? Who in our live chat from British Unionism thinks that your voice is being heard right now? What did Jeffrey just say? Look, let's rewind that back and let's listen to this. What sort of an, where's this man been living?
Society is represented. The coalition government is often unwieldy, but it ensures that every voice is heard. Such partnership is how we must move forward.
The Belfast Agreement, it was a disguise. It was built for appeasement, swindle and lies. In 2019, in the Lower Falls in Belfast, the IRA had guns shooting over Mr. Rooney's coffin. The same again in 2020. Effectively, people, we have in the Northern Ireland government terrorists, criminals who have guns outside the door, who have a private army outside the door. And what was that Jeffrey just said there? He said, let me hear again.
The coalition government is often unwieldy, but it ensures that every voice is heard. Such partnership is how we must move forward. It must be based on respect for each other's mandate. To that end, I will be speaking with the Prime Minister at the earliest opportunity to emphasise that it is not realistic to expect stability in Northern Ireland when every unionist representative in the devolved institutions is strongly opposed to the Northern Ireland Protocol. The government and those who claim to be the protectors of peace and stability here must step up and deal with the protocol in a manner which respects the constitutional and economic integrity of the United Kingdom. I want to bring stability to Northern Ireland and to encourage everyone to focus on what unites us as a people, rather than that which divides us. There has been too much focus on division and recrimination, both within unionism and within Northern Ireland. I will play my part, but the government and Brussels must step up and recognise the flaws of the protocol and how it was foisted upon the people of Northern Ireland.
So there you have it, people. That's Jeffrey. Yeah, that's Jeffrey delivering fine words. But whenever you sit and whenever you break those words down and whenever you match those words up with what actually is going on, well, what you're able to do is you're able to show Jeffrey for the balloon that he is, and I make no apologies for saying that, is that, well, he's cute enough because he gets his feet under globalist tables. He gets himself Queen's Privy Council jobs. He's now a Sir Jeffrey Donaldson. He's the head of a peace group, which some would say that the CIA had influence in from previous times. manipulating into place what Irish America wanted to manipulate into place. He's a peace envoy. How many jobs has this man got? Do you know? Has he even got time to try to lead British unionism? Anyway, we thought that what we would do is that we would talk about that this evening. And, you know, it's sometimes good to break down the words of these people. Now, let me say something, and let me make something very, very clear. I probably would have had a good enough relationship with Jeffrey Donaldson a few years ago. And, you know, as time went on, I began to realise that this man isn't worth anything. This man, no matter what you ask him to do, I know that he'll agree. He doesn't do anything about it. He puts things on the long finger. He diverts you. He sends you somewhere else. He says somebody else will deal with this. He got me and some people from here at Restore. He got us a meeting with the Secretary of State for Northern Ireland in December of 2019, before the time of the New Decade, New Deal approach was going to be signed. And that was all organised. Anyway, cut a long story short, we never got to have that meeting. Now, I will say that what happened was that the Irish language fraternity, well, they were invited, and we cited as a president, well, you know, if they can meet to give the reasons why they want this nation-building tool put in place for Republicans, well, we should be able to meet to tell them why it shouldn't be put in place, because it will be used as a hammer to beat British Unionists here in Northern Ireland with. Anyway, cut a long story short, we talked at length with the DUP. They got us a meet with the Secretary of State, and I personally think that our panel was actually too strong, because we had a professor of the Irish language from Dublin, a man called Kieran O'Quigley, who was actually on our side and who was understanding of everything that we were saying. And I invited him to go meet the Secretary of State. And what we were going to do is that if we had got to meet the Secretary of State, well, we would have had some influential media outside the door so that we could actually explain that here's a man who's a professor of the Gaelic language who doesn't actually want this put in place. We had Shirley McMichael, a lady who used to run events for the policing board, who is one of the only people in Northern Ireland having had the experience of running dual language events. And Shirley was there to argue on our side to say that she's already done this dual language stuff. And what it does is that it makes things boring, cumbersome. It makes things in a way that a meeting that should be lasting, say, 45 minutes can last for 2 hours, and you lose the will to live. And, you know, that's what we wanted to do, is we wanted to present a case in a way that this should never happen. Or if it has to happen, well, it should be put into places where it is welcomed. It should not be put into places where it is unwelcome. But you see, that's not what the nation building strategy is all about. And just today, I hear that there's a consultation for dual language signs in Belfast. It has to be opposed, but of course that we know that that's the agenda, and of course that we know that some British Unionist so-called politicians have already signed up to it. I remember asking a man, well, why not trilingual signs? Oh no, don't worry about it. There's only going to be bilingual signs. You see, people, I would argue that English is a universal language. English doesn't belong to the English. English doesn't belong to the United Kingdom. English belongs to people who speak it throughout the world. English is spoken in different ways. So it is a universal language. Now, whenever we have a universal language which doesn't have, and you heard Jim Allister say it the other evening, it actually doesn't have any rights under law. There is no English Language Act. And, you know, then we have an Irish Language Act, which will have precedent over English because it has the rights that English language doesn't actually have. So what I would argue there is that here we have nationalists, Republicans, and Irish speakers being enhanced unfairly, whilst I say it this way, what we're doing within this society is that we are enhancing one at the expense of another. We are enhancing one whilst that we demonise and we diminish others. And the likes of wee Jeffrey is happy to facilitate. I think he was painting Stormont there as some great place, representing everybody's views where everybody's voice would be heard. Well, everybody's voice might be heard, but they certainly not be delivered upon. They certainly not be moved to cater for. Anyway, let's stop before I get angry. Let's just say that. People, the numbers have stayed really, really high this evening. Thanks once again for coming along. Now, let me just close by talking about something before we play a couple of songs. And this actually has to be done. Now, what I have to do is I'm going to play a short song. Don't be going anywhere. We're here to talk about a centenary event that we're going to have at Stormont, and we're actually moving it until the 18th of December. So don't move anywhere. Stay here. I have to play something short here whilst I go and I get a little JPEG to pop up that Jim actually created there. If it's there, that is. So bear with me. I'm going to try to get an advertisement. And what we're wanting to do is we're wanting to invite people right around this country to come to Stormont on the 18th of December at starting really at 1:30, but the event will start at 2 p.m. And we're going to talk for a bit about it here whenever we come back. Just bear with me in a second. I'm going to look for a little song, and we'll play this song. And I think this is a significant. This is a song that should be played tonight. Nothing ever happens. Nothing happens at all. The needle returns to the start of the song, and the DUP and the UUP, the mainstream political parties within unionism, they expect all us to sing along like before. This time, it's not going to happen. Let's play this song. We're going to come back and we're going to be talking about the centenary event. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you very shortly.
Post office clerks put up signs saying position closed. The secretaries turn off typewriters and put on their coats. And janitors padlock the gates for security guards to patrol. And bachelors phone up their friends for a drink while the married ones turn on a chat show. And they'll all be lonely tonight and lonely tomorrow. Gentlemen, time please, you know we can't serve anymore. Now the traffic lights change to stop when there's nothing to go. And by 5 o'clock everything's dead, and every third car is a cab. And ignorant people sleep in their beds like the dope white mice in the college lab. And nothing ever happens, nothing happens at all. The needle returns to the start of the song, and we all sing along like before. And we'll all be lonely tonight and lonely tomorrow. Telephone exchanges click while there's nobody there. The Martians could land in the car park and no one would care. And closed-circuit cameras in department stores shoot the same movie every day. And the stars of these films neither died nor get killed, just survive constant action replay. And nothing ever happens, nothing happens at all. The needle returns to the start of the song, and we all sing along like before. And we'll all be lonely tonight and lonely tomorrow. brands advertise products that nobody needs. While angry from Manchester writes to complain about all the repeats on TV, and computer terminals report some gains on the values of copper and tin, while American businessmen snap off Van Goghs for the price of a hospital wing. And nothing ever happens, nothing happens at all. The needle returns to the start of the song, and we all sing along like before. And nothing ever happens, nothing happens at all. They'll burn down the synagogues at 6 o'clock, and we all go along like before. And we'll all be lonely tonight and lonely tomorrow. And we'll all be lonely tonight and lonely tomorrow. And we'll all be lonely tonight and lonely tomorrow.
Okay, people, so we're back. What we want to talk about now is that we want to talk about something that's going to happen on the 18th of December this year. It's on a Saturday. It's a very, very significant day in that it's officially Lundy Day. Lundy Day. Now, you know, pop up the messages in the live chat if you actually know who Lundy was and what Lundy did. But on Lundy Day, we'll call it that, Dairy Day. Officially, that's the official day for it, and it's on a Saturday afternoon. What we're going to do is that we're going to hold a celebration of our centenary. Now, let me just bring that up a wee second for myself. So, centenary celebration, looking back on 2021. We will be celebrating our 100-year centenary at Lord Carson's statue, Stormont Estate, Belfast, Saturday the 18th December at 1:30 p.m. Everyone welcome. Bring your own painted stone. Guest speakers. I just see a little. That's Jim's fault because I rushed them into doing that and changing things. But I should say they're guest speakers. Hashtag celebrate 100. So officially on Saturday the 18th of December, we're asking people to meet at 1:30. And really, the event should be getting on with speakers probably around the 2 o'clock mark, but there'll be some things that'll be happening just before then. And what we're encouraging people to do, and this was suggested on this channel by a lady who used to come here, or who still comes here. This was suggested at the start of the year, that what we do is that we create little centenary stones, like custom made, hand painted centenary stones. And we bring them, and what we do is that we place them around the base of the Carson statue. Now, I have my own idea for a centenary stone. I mean, just look at the Northern Ireland centenary badges at the top left and right hand side of the Stormont place there on both sides. And, you know, I mean, there's a lot of good ideas for centenary stones, and I'm actually looking forward to seeing the various stones whenever they're painted. So I'm hoping that people from right around Northern Ireland can actually come to this event. And why do I ask people to come to this event? We'll be doing things in a way that are respecting all restrictions that are kind of put in place. I mean, we're not there to, to cause any problems with any older folk or anything else. So what we're doing is we're asking everyone to come. Everyone would be welcome. And let's make this a centenary, centenary event that is befitting of the thing of 100 years of history and of all that many people throughout that 100-year history has gave in order to maintain Northern Ireland's place within the United Kingdom. So really, we want to be celebrating the people of the past. We want to be celebrating the history, the heritage, the culture that made Northern Ireland, throughout the years. And also, we want to be celebrating this event on our centenary year, because really, at every turn, Sinn Féin has blocked us. The SDLP has blocked us. I don't think that correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think that the Alliance Party are too willing to facilitate us. So let's do this. Let's do this. Stormont is a public place, and I've been checking with some politicians, and they've been saying, well, look, it's a public space, and no one can stop you from celebrating the centenary. And I'm asking people to let's do this party, let's make this party, let's create this party a celebration of 100 years of Northern Ireland, and let's make it something that we can look back on and we will all remember forever and a day. I mean, who remembers it was the Ulster 1972, was it 1974? You got to excuse me, I was only a couple of years old. Maybe someone would put that in a live chat and actually explain to me what year that it was in, and was it in the Ormeau Park? I mean, I'm remembering this from I was a couple of years old, and it was a great event. So on the 18th of December, starting at 1:30, I would like people from right around Northern Ireland to attend this event. We'll have some good speakers. The speakers will be confirmed very soon, and we'll be advertising who the speakers are. We hope to have bands there actually to be playing on the day, and we hope to make this an event whereby the people from Northern Ireland who cherish Northern Ireland's place within the United Kingdom, who want to celebrate the fact that we are 100 years old on the year that we are 100 years old. I would hope to make this an event. We would hope to make this an event whereby that people can come along and people can actually put a face to a name, because there's many names on the live chat. There's many names throughout the social media platforms that we see and we interact with on a daily basis, but we don't know those people, and we haven't actually met them face to face. So let's make this an event whereby that we can all come together in celebration of the fact that we are 100 years old, looking back on 2021 and understanding that a constitutional changing protocol was put in place on the year of our centenary. Now, how evil is that? How vile is that? How inconsiderate is that to do that on our centenary year? So let's change the narrative. Let's ensure that 2021, well, it goes out on a good memory, and it doesn't go out remembering the fact that the protocol was placed in place by our own British government at the request of the EU, cheerleaded by Republicans, the SDLP, the Alliance Party, the Green Party, the Ulster Unionist Party, and also by Dublin. The Irish government are our enemies. When I hear Jeffrey Donaldson saying, oh, we want to have respect and this and that. Look, listen, what was it Winston Churchill said? You can't negotiate, and I'm going to add, you can't make friends with a tiger when your head is in its mouth. And right now, our head is in their mouth. And, are we going to defile the memories of those from just over 100 years ago, which would have moved heaven and earth and gave their lives in order to serve and protect the people of the United Kingdom, in order to ensure that the aggression that was being waged on this part of the United Kingdom, well, are we going to defile their memories by rolling over, playing dead, and letting globalists, letting people who want to destroy us, who hate Britishness, are we going to roll over and let this happen? Well, I believe that we shouldn't. And I believe that as for everyone that's on this live chat, and believe me, the numbers are very high right across the platforms, I believe that each and every person needs to play their part and to encourage people to be there on Saturday, the 18th of December at 1:30, forming up at the Carson statue. And there'll be some great testament and speeches made, really recognising the 100 years, recognising the people from the 100 years, recognising the lengths that some people would have went to from within our own communities to ensure that aggression from any quarter, well, that wouldn't be tolerated, and that would always be stood up against. So are we going to let those from the past down by not doing this? Are we going to wait to May to celebrate our centenary? Are we going to let Sinn Féin win? Remember, Sinn Féin had said that there wouldn't be a centenary stone in Stormont. People, let's bring thousands of centenary stones on that day. And let's send a message to Sinn Féin, IRA, and anyone else who wants to aggress against us. Well, British Unionism here in Northern Ireland, whilst that we're peace-loving people, whilst that we're people that wants to reconcile with those that mean us no harm, we will certainly not tolerate people that mean us most harm taking away everything that we've ever believed in. Let's make this event an event to remember. People, thanks very much for coming along. And the days and the weeks that is actually coming, what we'll be doing is that we'll be adding more to the this event. So, and again, I'm just going to clarify because I don't want to get Jim the blame. Look, Jim had that made, and I asked Jim to change a few words, and it was my asking him to change a few words and saying I need it in 2 minutes caused him to make that mistake. So, Jim, that's not your fault. That is totally my fault. So it is. So anyway, people, before I go, and this is of paramount importance, as part of the centenary event, we're going to launch, and I've already been talking to some influential people here in Northern Ireland about this, but what we're going to be doing, and I mentioned it the other evening, is that we want to plant 100 trees in 100 different locations right around Northern Ireland. We want to call these places where these trees are planted. We want to suggest that they're part of our hashtag Celebrate 100. They are part of a centenary wood project, actually commemorating the 100-year anniversary of Northern Ireland. So we want 100 trees planted in 100 different locations right around Northern Ireland. We want community buy-in for the planting of these trees. We want people from the community to form the name that would be used for that wood, maybe representing someone from our past, like, for example, Carson Wood. And that's only one name. And then what we want is that we want people from the communities to even bring their children and to choose people to come and to plant the tree and to dedicate that tree in the memory of someone. And that someone could be, I don't know, a war hero. Jim Verner had suggested, maybe Dennis Hutchings. That tree could be in the memory of someone who has died through suicide. Maybe someone who lost their lives as a result of the conflict. I think of someone that I would like to name a tree after, or 3 people. I would probably like to do this in memory of, and I choke when I think about this, but Michael Marson, Evelyn Bird, and Michelle Bird. I would like to dedicate a tree in their memory. And I'm sure that there's other people that people would love to dedicate a tree in the memory of. And that extends because what we want to do is that we want then to document the 10,000 trees placed in 100 different places. And we want to document the names of the woods and the reason why those names were actually brought into position. We also want to understand that who that it is that these trees are dedicated in memory of. And then what we want to do is that we want to tell an individual story for every single tree that was planted in all of those 100 locations. And we want to it's a good project to take part in, because what we could then do is that we can maybe create an app documenting all these 10,000 trees in 100 different locations with 100 trees in each location commemorating the centenary. and celebrating the centenary. And we could make those woods, the 100 wood project, available to future generations to tell the story of Northern Ireland, the people who stood up against any aggression towards the people of Northern Ireland, the people who would give themselves to serve and protect the people of Northern Ireland, the people, the heroes from within communities that worked tirelessly, putting their lives on the line to ensure Northern Ireland's place would remain strong and the communities would remain protected. You know, these are the people that I think that these trees should be named after, but that isn't in our remit to actually tell people who they should name trees after. So people, I would really, really like for the people here at Restore to become involved in this. Now, let me tell you the good news. The good news is that when we announced this the other evening, a couple of donations actually put us in the position whereby that we've already 2 going towards 3 of these woods actually covered. That's 100 trees in 3 different locations. And you know what we're going to be doing is that we're going to be fundraising for this. It's not a big expensive project to do when you think of the locations, when you think of the different places right around Northern Ireland, when you think of people that will be genuinely willing to help make this a reality. So people, I'm going to pop up again, and again I'm saying this and I keep doing this, but there's a PayPal link. If you can help her work, please help her work. This is the latest project that we're going to become involved in, and we're going to be talking a lot about this on the day at Stormont. We're going to be expanding on this very project, and we're going to be planting at least two of these woods before the end of the year, and hopefully the rest will roll out next year. So I'm going to pop up the PayPal link in the British Union's People's Voice, in Restore UK, and also in the Restore UK on Facebook. That one was on YouTube. So if anyone can help us with even a small amount, please do so. And look, and don't let that put you off. And you know, if you can't put any money in, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We will have this funded. We will have this funded in whatever way that we can. So thanks very much for coming along. Hope that you enjoyed this evening's stream. And again, a message to the DUP. You know that we are reasonable people. And listening to me tonight, well, Jeffrey Donaldson understands that John Yates isn't that bad of a fella. But you know something, whenever things are being taken away from John Yates, and not just John Yates, but to the people in this live chat that they care dearly for, and whenever we look at the people that should be serving and protecting us, that should be fighting meaningfully, proactively, and in a way that defends, protects, and enhances our position within the United Kingdom, whenever we see the inability and the inactions and the unwillingness, in my honest opinion, of these politicians that we put in place to do a job for us, whenever we see this, well, we have every right to point out where the things are going wrong. Coming to a DUP office, coming to a UUP office very soon near you, some meaningful, proactive protest of our own. And that you can be assured of. That's, of course, if that nothing ever happens and this constitutional changing protocol remains in place. People, thanks very much for coming along. Thanks for creating the numbers. Thanks for ensuring that the numbers stay at high. And no doubt we will see you all very, very, very soon. People, I want to play us out, and I want to play a song that I've played the last 2 times here at Restore. And the reason why I want to play this song again is that this song was written last year, and a lot of you know who wrote this song. And I have to say, if you listen to the words of this song, how fitting for today was my son's words whenever he wrote this song, whenever he performed this song, whenever he produced this song. And I have to say, I'm a very proud dad at the prescience that this young man had to write and perform a song which was meant for today. Now, we're going to play us out with this, and we'll play us out afterwards with the usual hands across the water, because that's what it's all about right around the United Kingdom. It's about extending our hands across the water to our brothers and sisters in England, Scotland and Wales, and back the other way from Northern Ireland, or vice versa, from them to us. United we stand. Well, divided is how it looks right now, and that's because that our politicians have created the circumstances whereby that people are losing faith in anything that they do. Thanks very much for staying with us, people. If you can help us by donating towards the 100 Wood project, please do so, and we'll see you all again very soon. Thank you very much.
Where the hell from you? Are you scratching the surface? Let them know that the life there's a purpose. But you're like a service, putting blood in your hands, you're worthless. Seeing these curses, can you hear the pain in these verses be reoccurring? I don't know that this is lurking. You know what? Let's get to working. I know how you feel, we got the raw deal. You know the economy's growing, can't feed the family, we need to feel like a sympathy from a persona that can't relate to deal with the struggles. Y'all get expenses paid, never not half to eat a meal. Do you see a society in crisis? Has COVID got you blinded? Do you overshadow suicide? We can't be like this, because life's priceless. And all shapes and forms, you know life's priceless. Yeah, life's priceless. Life goes on, but with the radio on, take a minute to mourn all the pain in the past, the lingering on. Anxiety got us Papa brothers, yo, we gotta move on. Carry this pain on, because days do get better. And life will only get better if you get a chance to pull it together. So let's pull it together. And I can't stop thinking, what if we could combine instead of hating division? Just because walls built up don't mean we gotta be any different. Just a society created by politicians causing division. How different life would be if this wasn't the way we really live. You gotta listen, you learn it from the way you come across and interpret. Are we weak-minded? Not the pain of the troubles we inherit. And because you see it's so worthless, you got the nerve to call us a burden. Hope you take all of these words in. Now you swear but try to curb it, because we're masks for a flu that is lurking. Social distance keep us apart, divide and conquer and burn. No wonder we feeling so helpless with the way that this is turning. And my stomach is turning. We've had traumatic and sat static and felt pain and a panic. It's caused the life to feel tragic. Do the mathematics. It's a cause for concern over islands registered in these graphics, showing the world our future ain't happy. And to say this sadly, no change in environment with a pandemic happening and the support lacking. Do right by the people, but instead you choose to sit and watch this happen. We can talk about this topic because I'm wanting to drop it. Ain't no stopping these feelings when you cage us up with these lock-ins. We just longing for some help, but there's a topic y'all seem to be dropping. Good to see my life ain't worth nothing. And these times get harder in different days. It ain't gonna feel like yesterday. I know. But brother, let it go, let it go, let it go. Cause when these times get harder in different ways, it makes you stronger than other days. I know. So brother, let it go, let it go, let it go. So let it go. Aim for the stars, raising the bars. Don't let nobody break you apart. You know what? I told you this from the very start. I can't stop thinking. And I can't stop thinking, what if we could combine instead of hating division? Just because walls built up don't mean we gotta be any different. Just a society created by politicians causing division. How different life would be if this wasn't the way we really live. And I can't stop thinking, what if we could combine instead of hating division? No hating division. Just because walls built up don't mean we gotta be any different. Any different, no. Just a society created by politicians causing division. All them causing division. How different life would be if this wasn't the way we really live. The way we live.
just across the Irish Sea, stirs a heart of loyalty, raising honor and indignity, drives the will to keep us British free. Not alone are we on this journey, for in a land just across the sea is a hand that reaches out of friendship, and a bond that's lasted centuries. And its hands across the water, reaching out for you and me, for Queen Ulster and for Scotland, help to keep our loyal people free. Let the cry be no surrender, let no one doubt our loyalty, reaching out to the brave red hand of Ulster is the hand across the sea. Cross the water, reaching out for you and me, for Queen and Ulster and for Scotland, help to keep our loyal people free. Let the cry be no surrender, let no one doubt our loyalty, reaching out to the brave red hand of Ulster is a hand across the sea, just across the Irish Sea, stirs a heart of loyalty, raising honor and indignity, drive the will to keep us British free. Not alone are we on this journey, or in a land just across the sea. It's a hand that reaches out in friendship, it's the hand across the sea, it's the hand across the sea, it's a hand across the sea.
We didn't join Europe to be swallowed up in some bureaucratic conglomerate where it's Euro this and Euro that, and forget about being British. We're British, and we're proud of it. Proud of our traditions, proud of our national character.